Hey, welcome back everybody. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the new Premier Gray impact screen from the Indoor Golf Shop. I have been using the original white impact screen that came with my SIG10 Enclosure, which is what's right behind me, for quite a while now. And they have released a new gray impact screen that is designed to provide a better image in rooms with ambient light. But this impact screen does come at a little bit of a premium compared to the original white one. In this video, hopefully we are going to help you decide if the gray version is right for you and discuss how it affects image quality compared to the white one. Now, just for full disclosure, the Indoor Golf Shop did send me this gray screen so that I could review it and try it out for myself to share it with you guys. The Indoor Golf Shop has been a great partner for this channel and has been very supportive, and just want to be transparent about that. I am an affiliate for them, so I will put links down in the video description that do help support this channel. That's what makes this channel possible. So definitely thank you to them, and thank you to you guys that do use those links and help us keep going. So the SIGPro Premier Gray impact screen is designed with a gray material that's supposed to absorb ambient light and help provide a better image. You can buy the screen on its own, or you can add it as an upgrade to a simulator enclosure or a full simulator package from the Indoor Golf Shop. The price difference is going to depend on the size of the screen, but for comparison, the screen for the SIG10 enclosure, the gray version of the screen for the SIG10 enclosure is about $310 more than the included white version. That will just give you kind of a reference. A larger screen will obviously cost a little more. A smaller screen might have a little bit less of a price difference between the gray and the white. Now, swapping out the screens for me was super easy. They're obviously the same size, and the screen is basically identical to the original version with a really strong finished edge around the perimeter with grommets, and it attaches to the frame using ball bungees. So obviously I just removed the old screen, and with the new one, I always start in the top corners and then fill in the top, down the sides, and finish with the bottom. I try to spread out the tension as evenly as possible as I'm installing it so I don't get it all bunched in one side. That's what I did this time, and it came out perfectly. I did notice whenever I was installing this gray screen that it's actually a little bit of a snugger fit than my original white one. I don't think that there should be any difference in the size, but for whatever reason, maybe it was the install or I don't know what, but this one is a little bit snugger, and there was really no wrinkles from folding it. My original white one, I do have a review of the SIG10 Enclosure that will cover this original screen, but the original white one came folded up in the box just like this one, but it had more of some long-lasting creases and wrinkles in it whenever I hung it up that definitely got better as it was used and over time. But even still, whenever I just removed it, there were just a little bit of wrinkles in there that I could see. Now, they did not affect me whatsoever. The Indoor Golf Shop said that I could use a steamer to try and remove those, but it really didn't bother me at all, so I just left it alone. But in this case of this gray screen, it really unfolded and hung up perfectly. I really don't see any imperfections in it whatsoever, just a slight note on that end. After I got the gray screen installed, as soon as I fired up the projector, I saw the BenQ logo, which is a black background with a white logo. I could tell a difference immediately just from that. The contrast between the black and the white and the logo was just stronger, had a little bit more of a punch, and I could just tell it was different right away. Once I got to regular images, I knew that I instantly preferred this already. I had all my garage lights on, which we're going to talk about here. So the first thing I wanted to do was fire up GSPro and take a look at some different courses with this gray screen and see how they looked. Now, GSPro courses there's a wide range of the graphics and how they look depending on the designer and the settings that they're set for. Some are a little bit darker, some are a little bit brighter, just depends. So I did check out several different courses, and I could tell I liked the image better. Obviously, there just felt like there was more contrast in the image, and I could see more depth in the image. I will mention that I am using the BenQ AK700 ST projector, which is a 4K laser projector with 4,000 lumens for brightness, and it felt like I got an upgrade in lumens and an upgrade in the resolution, which I didn't. It's the same exact projector, but it just felt like the image had a little bit more depth to it. I could see more detail in a lot of the trees and things like that. So I knew that I liked it instantly. Now, I was worried that the image was gonna be too dark. And you can tell a difference between the white screen and the gray screen, where the gray screen does look brighter, okay? So like the greens are brighter and some of the other colors are brighter. The color of the gray screen with all my garage lights on is a little bit muted, but at the same time, I could see more detail and contrast, if that makes sense. I wouldn't say that the colors popped with brightness compared to the white screen, but they were more detailed, more depth to the image. Now, that's with my fluorescent garage lights on, which is how I use my simulator more than 90% of the time. I just always leave the lights on and it's been fine. In fact, going from a 3,000 lumen projector to a 4,000 lumen projector made that even better. But every once in a while, I do turn those garage lights off. I'll turn on my overhead track lights that are pointed away from the screen down towards the hitting area. And I'll turn on just the garage door lights, which is a single bulb, just to give me a little bit of ambient light behind me, but the room is significantly darker. So every once in a while, that's kind of like my, I don't know, when I want to turn the lights off and really get into playing around. Sometimes I play my SGT rounds like that. Sometimes I film some of my gameplay videos like that. Anyways, whenever I did that, I was afraid the image was going to be too dark on the gray screen, and it was darker. But what it did do was make those colors pop. When I said before it was a little bit more muted, well, when it was turn the lights off, then those colors did mute and I still had all that detail. I would say there's less of a difference with all the lights off between the white and the gray screen, but whenever I do have all the garage lights on, which is how I use my simulator 90% or more of the time, the gray screen had an image that I preferred that made it feel like I just got a much better quality projector, which I didn't. Now, as far as the performance of the screen, I did not notice any difference in the sound of the ball hitting the screen or the bounce back. Bounce back may have been a little bit higher just because, as I mentioned earlier, this one, for whatever reason, fit a little bit more snugly, which I prefer. Snuggly? Snuggly? It's a little more snug. But as far as I can tell, these two screens are identical except for the color. So as far as the pros and cons of the gray screen, just to sum up, the pros would definitely be you got a much better image with better contrast with all the ambient light in the room. You lost that kind of washout that you get, especially up in the sky with the clouds, where it's light blue sky and white clouds and they all kind of blend together. That's not an issue with this gray screen, which is great. And I'm sure it could come down to personal preference, but mine is I like the gray screen. Now the con would be that it is a little bit darker, and if you are going to play with ambient lights, the color, the brightness and like the greens, or if there's any reds or oranges or whatever, those don't pop quite as much with the lights on. So turn the lights off, I think they do. And that's where the white and the gray screen are pretty similar with the lights off. Another con is that you are going to be spending a few $100s more for the gray screen. So keep that in mind. And with the white screen, obviously you're going to have a lower price, but you are going to have to deal with a little bit of washout in the image, especially in those brighter areas like the sky, clouds, etc. if you play with the lights on or you just can't control the ambient lights in your room. So if you can't tell by now, I obviously prefer the gray screen for my environment because I am in the garage. I've got these fluorescent lights. I prefer to have the room pretty much lit up most of the time and just in here when I'm practicing and all that. I already had an image that was acceptable to me with this 4,000 lumen BenQ projector, but the gray screen makes it even better without having to worry about the lighting. So for me, that's a definite win. I am planning to keep the gray screen up. Obviously, that's my preference. But who should go with the white screen instead? Well, I would say for sure, if you are in an environment where you're going to be able to really control your lighting, meaning you can really tone down the ambient light in the room, and any light that you do have is directed away from the screen, whether you're using a pin light over the hitting strip or some track lighting that you can make sure to aim in a direction that's not toward the screen, that would be ideal. If you have other lights in the room, like on dimmers or whatever, obviously that would help as well. So if you know that you're really gonna set up your lighting in a way that you can control the darkness, especially near the screen, you can definitely go with a white screen and be just fine. If you're in an environment where, or maybe your just preference like mine is to play with the lights on, a gray screen may be a great idea for you, like I'm enjoying it. And if you are in an environment where you really can't control the lighting whatsoever, maybe you just have some kind of windows or something that you can't block. I've gotten emails from people that are wanting to do their simulator like outside, under a covered deck or something like that. That's not something that I would ever recommend, but some of you out there may have done that. If you're gonna try and do that, or like in a sunroom where like the whole wall is just windows, it's definitely not ideal for a golf simulator, but if you're still gonna try and do it, going with a gray screen would definitely be worth it in my opinion. So it's really up to your lighting. Another thing that you might wanna think about is the cost to upgrade to the gray screen. In my case, for this size of enclosure, was $310. Would I want to do that and go with the gray screen, or would I want to go with a upgraded projector with a higher lumen count that's going to increase the brightness for a better contrast ratio? Depending on what projector you're going to go with, if you look at maybe what the next steps are and how much the price difference there is in that projector, you can kind of say, well, you know, upgrading that projector is going to be $800. Or I can go with the gray screen for $300 and maybe have a similar effect, maybe better, maybe slightly worse, but still worth it. So that's something you want to think about. And also think about the cost that you might be spending on controlling the lighting, whether you're putting in track lights or whatever, dimmable lights, doing anything to your room. Keep that in mind. So maybe it's just better to spend a few $100 on the screen before you do any of those things that might cost a little bit more. All right, so that is pretty much my thoughts on the new SIGPro Premier gray screen. Leave me a comment down below of what you think, if it's something that you're gonna look into, if you have any questions that I might be able to answer on it. But overall, it's pretty straightforward. It's the same screen, but it's gray, and I like the difference. I will say that it is hard to capture the projected image on the screen on my camera for YouTube videos, so they may not come off as well as I would like them to. So I really just have to go with my own testimonial. I notice an obvious difference, and I prefer to play with the lights on, so I'm sticking with the gray screen. I do have links down below in the video description. If you use those, they will support this channel, and I definitely appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.